Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday. I'm Julie Livingston with Want Leverage Communications, here for another edition of PR Patter, my weekly talk show where I speak to fantastic marketers and public relations experts from across my business network. I'm so excited today to talk about a subject that is quickly changing our world, and that is artificial intelligence, or AI. And I want to welcome Jeremy Goldman to the broadcast. Jeremy is the Senior Director of the Marketing, Retail, and Tech Briefings at Insider Intelligence, where he covers all aspects of customer experience and brand marketing. You could call him a digital maven because he's covered digital marketing and e-commerce as an international speaker. He's an author of the book Going Social and Getting to Like, a columnist for Inc. magazine, and an analyst for eMarketer Briefing. Jeremy also founded my favorite networking group, Mosaic United, which is my go-to source for just about everything in my marketing world. And he's the host of the informative and prescient podcast Future Proof. So don't forget to follow Jeremy on Twitter at JEREMARKETER for the latest from Jeremy. And today we're going to be talking about how AI is set to transform LinkedIn and other social media platforms. So, welcome, Jeremy. It's so great to see you.
Yeah, no, it's great to be with you, and thanks so much for that really nice intro.
So, Jeremy, you've written recently about new AI enhancements to LinkedIn, um, to its ad platform. So maybe you could give us an overview of that, and how it's going to change kind of our LinkedIn experience, especially in advertising.
Yeah, no, so it's actually really interesting. There are a number of different enhancements that LinkedIn is running, in part because their parent company Microsoft invested a whole ton of money, 9 billion after an initial 1 billion
Well,
in open AI. So that's a decent a lot of money that would buy you a lot of tacos, and it's they're trying to figure out how do you make the best return on that. So in a lot of ways, they're doing a number of different things to try to have generative AI embedded into a bunch of facets of LinkedIn. So the one that you and I talked about offline is the fact that they're trying to make it easier for people to put up ads, B2B ads. And they're essentially introducing these AI generated copy suggestions. So the thinking is if you make it a lot easier to capture somebody's budget, then obviously it's going to be you will have more people who are going to be running campaigns there. And then they're actually doing a few other things that I think are very relevant, like they're rolling out generative AI for recruiter tools. They're rolling out something for premium members to rewrite their profiles using generative AI. So there's a lot of really fun use cases that are trying a few
wow.
different things to see what sticks.
So tell me a little bit about in terms of advertising. Um, how does LinkedIn perform in terms of being a platform for companies to advertise their services? Would you say that they've been successful in that area? Are they looking to use AI to really boost their success rate in advertising?
Yeah, so I was actually talking by luck to a reporter about this the other day, about the fact that LinkedIn, it's kind of compared to all these other social networks, but the reality is the mechanics of it, they might seem similar, but then you realize, well, there's a lot of business professionals there, obviously, and from an advertising standpoint, it's all B2B. It's like
Sure.
a very small percentage, almost negligible, is B2C. So, the mechanics are similar, but in terms of the CPMs and how much you're going to actually pay to advertise, they're a lot, but part of that is because the B2B buying cycle is pretty extensive. So essentially, when other businesses might suffer, they're not going to suffer as much. But going back to your original question about are they hoping to get a delta, how are they doing, and everything, I mean, they are raking in quite a bit. I actually have forecasts that Insider Intelligence publishes in terms of how well they're doing. So from an advertising standpoint, they're capturing a lot of the B2B advertising market. They don't have a monopoly, but in the States, when it comes to digital, they have a lot of it. And that's really big, but like you still think that you still have a total addressable market where you can take more from other channels like events, like the little bit of B2B that goes on other platforms. They think that they can steal that away by having a better user experience and making it easier to run ads.
Interesting. Wow. So how does the technology work? How do you think it's going to work? And has it already been rolled out? Because I
Yeah,
know LinkedIn is odd with their, when they introduce something, different parts of the country get it at various times. So,
well, so and that's actually one thing that they're doing in a very deliberate manner because I interviewed them recently, and I actually asked their VP of product some questions about that. And essentially, what they're thinking is that they want to roll different things to different markets at different times. That those could be geographic markets, those could be recruiters only, or people who are paying for LinkedIn Premium. And part of the reason for that is they want to be very deliberate from a testing standpoint and make sure that this doesn't, have the whole entire user experience deteriorate, because it would be really awkward if you can imagine what if they just immediately said, here's an AI comment generator, and everybody started spamming everybody else's
right,
threads with.
right.
If they did that overnight, that could very well happen, right? So they know and that things could go wrong when they do this. And in terms of some of these things, they are releasing them depending on what market. I know you've got an international audience. Some people have it now, and some people will have to wait a little bit, pending the results of the first few rollouts.
So, right. So the first part of the rollout will be in North America. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. And so basically, that's correct. There is, and I can actually even pull this up. The initial testing includes a target select group of customers in North America. The good thing is basically people go to the campaign creation tool within LinkedIn. If they've ever run a LinkedIn ad campaign, you can basically see immediately whether or not you've got access to it. And then it's going to continue to roll out from there.
That's cool. And why is this? I mean, this may be stating the obvious, Jeremy, but why is this new AI generative tool going to, do you think, is going to be of interest to marketers and advertisers?
I think part of it is that there's always friction associated with just about any process. Like if you look at how, for instance, you and I went live today, this was pretty easy, right? Imagine if you said, Jeremy, I want you to join me. It's going to take is 17 clicks and like 2 pages of instructions, right?
Right.
I might
Forget
say,
it.
I
That's
love
not going to
you,
happen.
Julie, you're fantastic, but no, right? And part of it is like it doesn't seem like it's a lot, but it is to us because we're so used to having very seamless interactions now. So uh, pretty much, it's not just LinkedIn, obviously, but Meta is investing in this, and Google is as well, to try to have situations where you can run a whole lot of different ads rather than setting these up one by one like I did back in the day and changing a word or two and then seeing which one performs the best. They want to make this very, very simple so that something that took me 15 years ago, like 90 minutes to set up, if it can be set up within a minute, that's going to capture more of my budget as an advertiser, and making it easy for me to give you money is going to be one of the key things that we're going to see across all major social platforms over the next few years.
So what is you recently did some research on this. So tell us a little bit about the numbers and what the research revealed about interest in jumping in and using these new tools on LinkedIn, especially.
Yeah, so I think that this is one thing that is really interesting and important to pay attention to is how running a quick search in my files just to pull a few things up. So first off, one thing that's important to note is going back to, LinkedIn thinks that they're going to get more of the B2B display ad market in particular because of this. We expect in the US their business to actually grow 24.1% this year within the B2B display ad market.
Wow. So this is really significant. They are really projecting significant growth because of this.
Right, and when you think about the fact that you've got all these different other players that are investing in it, but they're not going to get the same return that LinkedIn is going to have, just because of the selling cycle. If you're B2B and you hope to sell next year, you need to invest in that advertising this year.
Right.
And I think that is so. Yeah, so I have a few quick data points that I want to actually bring up.
So I just want to interrupt you for 1 second. So in many ways, LinkedIn is going to be sort of the forerunner in this space.
I mean, yeah, that is really a lot of the idea here with Microsoft's investment is they're also trying to, not to get off topic, they're trying to embed these generative AI tools. They're trying to learn and find out all the different surfaces and interfaces that they can embed this in. So they're doing it throughout, the Windows App Store, throughout their Office suite, all over,
Very
and
cool.
figuring out where the customer will be receptive to this.
Yeah. Okay. So share some of the numbers with us.
Okay, so there's some LinkedIn actual data that they commissioned, but I think I'm going to pivot off of that just because vendor bias. And GoDaddy did a recent study, the interest in conducting select tasks using Gen AI according to U.S. small business owners. Because remember, if you can get more of the SMB budgets, then that will continually help you grow if you're a platform like LinkedIn. Creating images or videos for marketing, that was the number one response, at 46%. And there are obviously other players, third-party players like Adobe that are doing really interesting things there. But then very close to that 46%, you've got write content for marketing purposes, 45%. And those are the top two things that people say that they're interested in, which I think is obviously, tells you a lot about the potential for this market.
So content is still king or queen.
Exactly. And by the way, there's other data. There's a Salesforce study that I saw recently, the top 5 uses for Gen AI according to marketers worldwide rather than US. Basic content creation, number 1, then writing copy, and then actually inspiring creative thinking, which we could do a whole nother episode on, which we won't now. A lot of people are using it for brainstorming and basically using it almost as like
right. I mean, that's exactly how I'm using it to combat writer's block. Since I'm a LinkedIn ghostwriter and strategist. So when I'm sitting in front of my computer looking to create content for executives, sometimes you just hit a wall. And, if you put in ChatGPT what you're looking for, and it pops up with some really great starting points. Again, I would never use that content verbatim, but it just kind of sparks your thinking in different ways.
Oh, absolutely. And there's been this whole entire conversation about like what is a human's role versus a computer. I mean, you have to lean into your strengths as somebody who challenges an AI when they're wrong. I mean, every now and then you get an idea from them and you're thinking, wow, that's really great. But it's you who is able to essentially bless that idea and say, I'm going to run with it. And sometimes I've seen now, all these things where people are writing a book and they're saying, co-written by ChatGPT. I mean, would you say?
Oh, is that right? Wow.
I mean, would you say co-written by Google Docs, though? I mean,
no, I would not.
Right, and it is a tool. If it's doing the writing for you, like you have another problem, I would say. So, no offense to.
That's a strange. That's kind of a strange co-authoring situation, I would say.
Yeah, it's not a co-author. It's something that can help you achieve an objective, but the objective has to be, you're the person who owns that. You're the person who's making the decisions about, I agree with that. I don't agree with that. I'm going to nix this thing. I'm going to ask it to tell me more about a certain thing. It's not supposed to do your work for you. It's supposed to help you do your work.
Right. So it could really provide some much needed creative input, suggestions on how to enhance your content. But it's really the human element that makes that final decision and shapes the content to really be in alignment with the brand.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to the Google Docs example, right? I mean, if something's going to look better in portrait or landscape, you're the person who's making that decision. And even if Google Docs gets smarter and gives you an auto suggestion and says it looks like this should be better in landscape, you're the person who ultimately says yes, I agree with that, or no. You as the human being are making the decisions based off of the assistance of technology, which is kind of the same thing that we've been doing over time. We just kind of forgot in this moment that that's how we've always used technology.
What for companies that haven't um, consciously really used these kinds of tools, how would you suggest they kind of dip into it and get started?
I mean, I think really one of the first things is to understand, to read a lot about the different types of tools. You sign up for free accounts, figure out what the general capabilities of these different things are. You can do a lot for free. I think even understanding kind of where what the baseline is right now in terms of like let's say Firefly, from Adobe, or ChatGPT,
Right.
or Bard or Anthropic has their own tool. Sign up for these things, figure out where the technology is now, and essentially staying abreast of it. Figuring out how fast something's moving is going to be really impactful to figuring out what your future strategy is, because the smartest people in this field basically are the ones who can develop a strategy based off of where the puck is going as opposed to where the puck has been, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Tell us, in your article recently, your recent article, you talked about the change in marketing spending according to B2B marketers. Can you take us through some of the highlights?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that,
Just to give us
I mean,
a sense of, where B2B companies are really looking to invest on social networks.
yeah, I think, one of the key things is that, well, first off, and tied to Gen AI, creating more content in less time. That is that's the data from LinkedIn. That's what people are really want to do. 55% of marketers plan to boost their productivity and focus on high value tasks. But then when you look at B2B, and again, I'm just pulling up a little bit of information. I want to be
Yeah.
as accurate as possible for people. When you look at the types of platforms right now that either B2B marketers are using or agencies are using on behalf of B2B marketers, you can really see that there's more and more of a shift towards spending more money on LinkedIn specifically. 63% do use YouTube, and that's the number two result, but 80%, 4 in 5 respondents are using LinkedIn right now. So
Wow. Wow.
so a lot more of that spend is coalescing around LinkedIn than ever before. 57% Facebook, which is, it seems like a lot, but then you think about the fact that a lot more people are advertising on Facebook to begin with. So as a result, it just really shows you the power of LinkedIn. They have a much smaller percentage of the whole entire market, but yet they dominate B2B.
Interesting. Wow. Um, any other final notes about where generative AI is going for B2B marketers and what people should be looking for? I mean, you're a great, I don't want to say you're clairvoyant, Jeremy, but you often talk about what's coming down the pike.
Yeah, I think that it's a good question. I think that one of the key things that is not going to change is the best way to get in front of your customers is to understand your customers and to have a ruthless ability to actually understand what they're looking to do, what they're looking to get out of any ad, any type of interaction with you. And within the B2B world, one of the nice things is you can actually have client calls and you can actually transcribe them. There are different tools out there. There are AI tools that will actually listen to voice and look at inflection points and say like, oh, this person really means a certain thing, but they said something else. But
That's
even if you want to,
amazing. It's amazing.
yeah,
I've been using that, and I just like it is so informative. Like you're really you are going deeper in terms of understanding what's beneath the communication and the talk.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you want to just trust people exactly in terms of what they're saying and transcribe or paraphrase different calls, you've got the ability to take those transcripts, feed them in to a tool like ChatGPT, and then develop some market insights. So I would say it's really that's the first thing that you have to do before you can create 9,000 ads all talking about one particular facet of your offering. But what if that's the thing that nobody cares about, right? Like you don't want to be aiming in the wrong direction. So really understanding using these tools to figure out how you can better serve the customer is a great place to start, I think.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. Jeremy, this was such a great conversation. I learned a ton. And thank you so much for making the time today. Again, follow Jeremy on Twitter for ongoing updates on this topic. And I'll see you next time for another episode of PR Patter. Have a great Wednesday.